Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello!
Hi!
Welcome to the Port Charles 411, Lucky and Liz, part 21.
Oh my
Lucky,
gosh.
Part 29.
They're legal now.
Yes. This is June 19th through June 19th through August 18th, 2006. So only 2 months, but we got quite a lot going on. I think last episode we left off Lucky and Liz. Lucky was dealing with his addiction. Liz had just kind of come to terms with, well, I need to, there's nothing I can really do.
Right.
I guess.
Epiphany was giving it to her straight, telling her that man is addicted and you cannot do anything about it, but try to be there for him if he wants help.
Yes, exactly. So today we pick up where Bobby was asking Liz to whip up some brownies and Lucky discreetly pulled Maxie aside. Oh, that's right. We started with that. The Maxie Lucky. Ugh.
Yep.
Asking her for more pills. And this is when Maxie was working at the hospital as a candy striper.
Yes.
I feel like we actually forgot to mention that. That's how Maxie was getting the pills.
Mm-hmm.
Before she could respond, Nick arrived at Kelly's and the group leaped out from behind the counter shouting, "Surprise!" The celebration was heartfelt and Leslie grew emotional as she held the baby, expressing how proud Laura would be of both Nick and her new grandchild. So this is when Spencer was born.
Mm-hmm.
Lulu was overwhelmed by memories of her mother and quietly kept her emotions in check. During the festivities, Maxie slipped away to meet a drug dealer at the docks. Oh, that's right. She was getting drugs from the hospital, though. Was she also meeting a drug dealer?
I think she had to switch to the drug dealer because she wasn't getting the pills from the hospital. She had stolen the prescription pad.
Yes.
And so then they caught on that not that she had stolen, but the prescription pads were missing. And so she could not take anymore.
Yes, that's right. Thank you for remembering what we just talked about.
You're very welcome.
She was short on cash for the pills, offering to work something out in exchange. And I feel like old Maxie, that means wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lucky reassured Liz that he was doing fine without the pills, only to make a hasty exit from Kelly's moments later. Lucky arrived at the docks just in time to find the dealer attacking Maxie. He drew his gun, holding both of them at bay. The dealer pleaded to be let go, and though Lucky allowed him to leave, he confiscated the pills. Maxie was shaken but impressed by Lucky's command of the situation and saw a different side of him. As guilt crept in about involving her in his struggles, she tried to comfort him, insisting she understood what he was going through. She then leaned in, attempting to kiss him. Lucky stopped her, reminding her that he was married, but Maxie refused to back down, claiming they had always shared a connection and he should admit it. That's kind of gross considering we know that she had the schoolgirl crush on him when he was an adult and she was like middle school.
Right. That wasn't a connection. He was being nice to you because you were a family friend and you misinterpreted it because you were a child.
Right. Maintaining his resolve, Lucky rejected her advances. Once Maxie left, however, he succumbed to his addiction, taking some of the pills before heading back to Kelly's. At Kelly's, Liz was alone, cleaning up after the party, and when Lucky walked in. They caught up on what happened in his absence. In a rare moment of tenderness, Lucky asked Liz to dance. They were having issues. This is why it was the rare moment. This is not an overall rare moment for them, but in this instance, it was. As they swayed together in the dim light, Maxie stood outside watching through the window, her expression unreadable. I'm pretty sure she was not happy.
Exactly. I could tell you what her thought process was.
Meanwhile, at General Hospital, Emily confided in Liz about Sonny's erratic behavior. She was convinced she had to help him, just as Jason and Carly had in the past, but Liz worried for her safety. In that moment, Rick burst into the room where Sonny stood with a gun aimed at him, daring Rick to take it away. Rick did so unflinching. He told Sonny that he had researched his condition, but Sonny dismissed the idea of any chemical imbalance, insisting he destroyed people simply because that's who he was. This is when Sonny was getting diagnosed with his bipolar disorder too.
Yes.
He was a bottomless pit, haunted by his failures to save Lily or their mother. Rick insisted he only wanted to be close to his brother. In response, Sonny punched him. A physical fight broke out, escalating until Emily rushed in. They only stopped when the phone rang. It was Alexis delivering chilling news that Manny had abducted Sam. Determined to find her, Liz went to Jason's apartment. Oh, determined to find Sam? Liz went to Jason's apartment?
Yes.
When Jason, I'm like, there has to be a reason why I left all of that in there too.
Yeah.
So when Jason arrived, he wasted no time ordering an all-out search for Manny. Then he turned to Liz, asking her for help. Since Manny had kidnapped her before, she might hold the key to finding Sam. At first, Liz was hesitant. She didn't see how reliving her own trauma would help Jason, but he explained that understanding Manny's mindset could reveal a weakness. Realizing how much was at stake, she reluctantly agreed. They returned to the hospital where Liz recounted her terrifying ordeal in detail. Jason listened intently, appreciating her willingness to relive such a painful experience. He reassured her that her insight was invaluable. However, the exercise only deepened his concern. Manny was precise and methodical in his actions. If he had taken Sam, it meant he was waiting for Jason to make a mistake. But his need for control could also make him overconfident. That overconfidence might be the very thing that led to his downfall. Before they could act, the PCPD arrived to arrest Jason, with Detective Rodriguez stating the district attorney would handle the charges personally. Were they thinking that he had something to do with Sam's?
I don't know how they would think that, but maybe. I don't remember.
At General Hospital, this is where it gets tricky with
Right.
only sticking to Lucky and Liz as much as possible. But at General Hospital, Liz overheard a press conference, but was suddenly reminded of a conversation she once had with Manny about the hospital's secret places. She rushed to the police station to share this with Jason, who told her he needed a way to escape. Liz created a diversion, helping Jason flee, and later stopped Lucky from arresting him. This is now the second time that she has created a diversion for somebody to flee. She did that for Luke, too.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Manny prepared to tattoo a message onto Sam when Jason burst in, gun drawn. As Jason searched for Sam in the hospital's sublevels, Liz pleaded with Lucky not to call for backup, arguing that if cornered, Manny would kill Sam, and that would destroy Jason. Understanding her point, Lucky agreed to help Jason alone. Jason found the phone Sam had tried to use and forced his way into the room where Manny had her at gunpoint. As the standoff escalated, Lucky arrived and fired, but Manny shot Jason in return. As Manny fled, Lucky pursued him while Jason freed Sam. Back at the hospital, Jason brought Sam to safety. After advice from Liz, he headed to the roof where Manny ambushed him, nearly throwing him over the railing. Not just over the railing, off the roof.
Right.
As Manny taunted Jason, claiming they were alike, Jason managed to fight back. Lucky arrived, fired a shot, and Manny fell to his death. Jason believed he had pushed him, while Lucky assumed his bullet was responsible. At the hospital, Sam was initially relieved to see Alexis and Rick, assuming they had helped rescue her. However, when Alexis revealed she had arrested Jason, Sam became furious, convinced Alexis had orchestrated it to get Jason killed. Liz was relieved Lucky was unharmed. As he left, Maxie intercepted him, glowing with admiration. "You've been an amazing friend." It's him, not her. "You've been an amazing friend." He told her, grateful for her help in getting him painkillers. Maxie slipped into the supply room to steal more as Lucky returned to the station, where Mac and his peers hailed him a hero. Maxie later appeared with a fresh stash of pills.
Yeah, I don't know how she did that. Like, we've seen from other people trying to get pills that it's not just like in a room.
Right, exactly.
And they count those. So I don't know. Maybe she figured out after stealing the prescription pads that there was somewhere that they were kept, but I'm sure it'll tell us that must have something to do with how she couldn't get them anymore, because Epiphany is keeping track of pills, let me tell you.
Well, in 2006, I mean, I know now they have barcodes on them and they scan them in and out and they're really like locked up. Were they just kind of in the turnkey, like at Walmart when you try to get a razor?
I feel like a candy striper still would not have access to that.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just wondering, like, is it something she could have used a bobby pin and shimmied the lock, versus the scanning?
Maybe.
And,
yeah. I'm not
How
sure.
about I went to a Walmart recently and the sheets were locked up?
That's insane. I don't understand. Oh my God, there's a cat fight going on in my house. I'm sorry. like, I get it that they're trying to deter theft because obviously things like razors and stuff like that people steal. But I also, like, I'm sorry, I just don't have time. If I go to buy a razor and it's locked up, I'll buy it somewhere else. So, especially with sheets, like, okay, Amazon will just deliver something to me. Never mind.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't know.
Alexis reviewed the forensic report and noticed inconsistencies in Lucky's account of Manny's death. Deciding to let the narrative stand, she ordered an autopsy closed. Oh, she ordered the autopsy closed. I don't know why I can't read. Sorry. At a press conference, Mac publicly praised Lucky, though Maxie felt hurt when Lucky thanked Liz, but not her. Well, of course he wasn't going to thank you. Like, come on. Meanwhile, Liz received Jason's belongings. Patrick speculated the wrong person was being credited for Manny's death, and Alan noted another bottle of painkillers had gone missing. So Alan's on it, even if Epiphany hasn't noticed yet. Elsewhere, a mysterious figure dressed as a priest blessed Manny's body, revealing tattoos on his hands. Lucky later visited Liz at the hospital to share news of his promotion, and she proudly hugged him. Patrick congratulated Lucky before later flirting with Liz, suggesting she'd be lonely at night due to Lucky's long hours. Liz dismissed his advances, calling him out for trying to make Robin jealous. I did not like Patrick when he was like that.
Mm-mm.
Alan questioned Maxie about stolen painkillers, but she feigned ignorance. Later, she met Lucky at the docks where he struggled with pain from Manny's attack. Maxie worried about Alan's suspicion, but Lucky thanked her for taking the risk to help him. Upset that he publicly praised Liz but not her, Maxie kissed him. Though Lucky hesitated before pulling away, he insisted it was wrong. He was married. Maxie suggested Liz was growing close to Patrick, but Lucky refused to doubt his wife again. Well, thank goodness he was like good for like a minute to remember that she was not doing stuff with Patrick.
Yep.
Soon after, Liz received a note from Alan about the stolen hydrocodone. She confided in Patrick, who warned the drug was highly addictive and revealed he had deliberately stopped prescribing painkillers to Lucky for fear he might develop a dependency. Liz realized what Patrick was insinuating and asked if he thought Lucky was stealing drugs. Patrick didn't deny the possibility. Alexis met privately with the coroner, instructing him to bury Manny Ruiz's autopsy file but not destroy it. She wanted it kept hidden in case she needed it later. The coroner assured her it wasn't the first time someone had made such a request, revealing that Robert Scorpio had also asked him to conceal autopsy files in the past. Choosing not to dwell on that revelation, Alexis focused on the narrative she intended to uphold. Lucky Spencer was the hero who had killed Manny in the line of duty, and that was the story everyone needed to believe. At the PCPD, Alexis asked Lucky to go over the events on the roof one last time before she closed the case. Lucky recounted that he saw Jason and Manny struggling, waited for a cleared shot, and then fired, causing Manny to fall from the rooftop. Alexis, satisfied, reassured him that he had done the right thing. Meanwhile, Jason, still recovering at the hospital, was plagued by a nightmare. In his dream, he found Sam's body in the morgue instead of Manny's. A sinister message was tattooed across her stomach. "She's mine," and Manny's laughter echoed in the background. Jason jolted awake, shaken, with Sam by his side, comforting him. She reminded him that Manny was gone and that he was safe, but the weight of the past lingered. Liz arrived to check on Jason's condition, noting his struggle to move his right arm. Patrick assessed him, determined that the movement, though limited, was a promising sign. Tests would confirm the extent of any nerve damage, but he reassured Jason that with physical therapy, he should recover fully in a few weeks. Later, Alexis visited Jason in private, revealing the truth. Manny had no bullet wound, meaning Jason, not Lucky, had been responsible for his death. Sam unknowingly walked in on Alexis later and overheard her telling Liz that she was relieved Lucky had been credited for the kill. If Jason had been the one, she would have had no choice but to charge him with manslaughter. Liz took note.
That makes sense.
No.
Because
no,
they were willing to accept that Lucky did the right thing.
Right, and like, wouldn't it be self-defense?
Jason.
It was, right, and it was, like, they were fighting. It was self-defense. He didn't throw him over the roof on purpose. It happened in the fight. Like,
right. Maybe assault.
Right, exactly.
But still self-defense. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, if you and I were fighting at the top of your stairs and you fell down the stairs, I didn't push you down the stairs. You fell down the stairs. Like, That's not
Note to self, don't stand by stairs with a man.
when arguing.
You guys all heard it. If I die from, it's going to be like a new staircase. It's the owl with the blowpoke. Did you ever watch that on Netflix? Oh my
No.
gosh. It's old, but go watch The Staircase.
All right, I'll have to check
It's kind
it.
of crazy.
I'll have to
Okay.
check it out. But yeah, no, like
Everything I just said will make sense.
all right. It was not his fault. Anyway, she would have no choice but to charge him with manslaughter. Liz took note of Jason's reaction, recognizing the unspoken concern behind his expression. It wasn't just about his arm, it was about what this revelation meant for his future. I love that she can like read people's minds. At the hospital, Liz confronted Patrick over his suspicion about Lucky and the missing painkillers. She insisted that neither of them had taken the stolen medication and explained that Lucky had sought another doctor's help for additional pain relief. With bills piling up and a child to support, he needed to be back at work. Patrick eventually apologized, admitting he had been too quick to judge. The moment of levity between them was brief, interrupted by Lucky's arrival. His expression darkened as he watched Liz and Patrick interact. Meanwhile, Rick pushed Alexis to re-examine Manny's autopsy, suggesting she use the evidence to charge Jason with murder and ensure he was removed from Sam's life permanently. Alexis refused, holding firm that Lucky had been the one to kill Manny, and she had no interest in helping Rick settle his vendetta against Jason. Some things never change. Later, Lucky sat at the docks, lost in thought, when Maxie approached, stirring the pot. She mentioned that Liz had left the hospital abruptly and that Patrick had conveniently disappeared not long after. Her implication was clear. Lucky, already suspicious, tensed at the suggestion but Maxie quickly turned the conversation back to herself, accusing him of only paying attention to her when he needed more pills. Despite his denial, his gaze lingered on her revealing top, and Maxie seized the moment, pressing a kiss to his lips. This time, Lucky didn't pull away. Not immediately. Oh, geez, I wonder what happens.
I don't know.
At Carly's house, Liz arrived with a sense of urgency, insisting that Jason needed to return to the hospital. If he moved the wrong way, his artery could reopen? Can your artery?
Yeah, probably like, well, you know how like there's an artery in your leg that like if you get,
Oh, okay.
like, is there one also in your arm?
I guess so. I was thinking like more like your heart. I guess. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
It goes to your heart.
It does. But like
Yeah.
I'm thinking he wasn't like
He wasn't like shot in the chest. I know where you were going because you don't think
exactly.
about.
So I'm like, what? You're gonna splurt blood everywhere from your heart or something. I wasn't thinking about like obvious things that lead to your heart.
When JD accidentally stabbed himself in the leg,
accidentally, air quotes. Everyone hears this.
he did. I was taking a nap. He was breaking down boxes in the garage, and he was carrying the box cutter, and he tripped, and it stabbed himself in the leg.
Oh.
And he came into the game room, and he had like an oil covered rag because that's what you keep in the garage. And I ran upstairs and got him a towel. And long story short, when we got to the hospital, the doctor was like, "Oh, is he in trouble for using a good towel?" And I like stared at him. I was like, "I got that for him." Like, excuse me. But the whole time I was like, "How much are you bleeding?" Because I didn't know. Because I mean, if he had been over just like a little bit, he could have completely punctured that artery. But yeah, yes. I'm with you. Like I automatically would have gone to the heart also, but no.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shannon, because my brain
and
was
I did
like,
not stab JD.
So if he moved the wrong way, his artery could reopen and he might not even realize it until it was too late. Carly, skeptical of Liz's motives, dismissed her concern as more than just medical professionalism. Liz didn't argue, only reminded Carly that as Jason's best friend, she should be the one to convince him to go back. Back at the docks, Patrick stumbled upon Lucky and Maxie's kiss. Maxie quickly tried to cover, claiming it was all her doing, but Lucky dismissed her, knowing this confrontation was inevitable. He turned to Patrick, daring him to tell Liz, accusing him of having an agenda of his own. Patrick remained measured, responded that if he told Liz, it would only be because she deserves the truth.
Funny when people decide to tell the truth when it has nothing to do with them.
Right. Exactly.
But want their own truth to not come out.
Right. I'm going to make sure that Liz deserves the truth to know that you were kissing somebody else, but you don't need to know that I was making a pass at her earlier today.
Yeah, but that was intentionally because he knew that Lucky was
Yeah.
overhearing and
Right.
and to make Robin jealous also.
Yes.
Elsewhere, Jason sat at Sunny's penthouse, weighed down by regret. He admitted that shutting Sunny out had been a mistake, leading to disastrous consequences. Sam had been shot, Justice had been murdered. Every decision he had made as boss had led to loss. Jason shouldered the blame, admitting that whatever happened, it was on him. Sunny, surprised by the admission, listened in silence as Jason, for the first time, apologized for the choices that had driven them both to this point. Back at General Hospital, Liz continued to push for Jason's return, while Lucky once again reached for the pills that had begun to control him. The facade of the perfect hero was cracking, and Maxie, ever the opportunistic, was ready to pick up the pieces. Lucky Spencer's life was spiraling, and his addiction was beginning to consume everything, including his marriage to Liz. At General Hospital, Maxie plotted damage control after Patrick had caught her and Lucky kissing at the pier. She sought out Robin, claiming that Lucky had merely been comforting her when Patrick jumped to the wrong conclusion. When Robin pressed for a motive, Maxie insisted Patrick wanted Liz for himself and was using this to break up their marriage. She pleaded with Robin to intervene before Patrick could tell Liz what he thought he saw. When Patrick arrived at the hospital, Robin wasted no time at confronting him. She refused to believe his version of events, accusing him of stirring up trouble for his own gain. Left with little choice, Patrick backed off, keeping what he had witnessed to himself when he later ran into Liz. Meanwhile, Lucky found Liz in the hospital corridor and, after literally bumping into her, stole a kiss. He reassured her he didn't want to take her or their son Cameron for granted. But no sooner had Liz walked away with Patrick than Lucky had reached for more pills right at the nurse's station. We had cameras back in 2006, guys.
Right. And
And you
again,
would think they'd be at the nurse's station.
yeah.
But we would not have much of storyline if there were cameras in this hospital.
No, they'd probably also have one by the med room.
You'd think, maybe,
So.
or in it.
Right.
Elsewhere, Liz's stress was mounting. Lainey noticed her leaving on a personal errand while Lucky, ever suspicious, overheard and decided to follow. Across town at Kelly's, Robin, Lainey, and Kelly toasted to new beginnings as they celebrated their future living situation. Their conversation turned to Patrick, whom Robin assumed was out with the guys. The women joked that the men were likely preoccupied with one thing: sex. In reality, Patrick, Lucky, Nicholas, and Rick were gathered at Jake's, but their conversation had taken an unexpected turn, centered on Carly. Rick stirred the pot, suggesting Carly was the perfect match for Sunny, while Max defended her honor.
Aww.
Oh, they didn't mention Max in here, like back at the beginning.
Right.
As the drinks flowed, each man found himself lost in a fantasy involving Carly.
I remember this.
I know. Max imagined her seducing him atop the bar. Rick saw her confronting him about his unspoken attraction to Sam. For Nicholas, she taunted him about baby John, warning he wouldn't be able to resist her forever. Patrick's vision had Carly calling out his unresolved feelings for Robin, but Lucky's was the most unsettling. Carly held out a bottle of pills, teasing that he didn't know what he wanted more, the drugs or his wife. No offense, but thank goodness they did not have Lucky having that kind of a thought about his cousin.
Right, exactly.
At the hospital, Liz, and we all have to remember, Max had such a crush on Carly.
Yes, it was very cute.
It was. At the hospital. Well, yeah, and then Nicholas would be her cousin too, so it makes sense that,
yeah,
just talking about the baby. At the hospital, Liz had her own moment of longing. She noticed flowers at the nurse's station and hoped they were from Lucky, remembering that a year ago he had proposed. Epiphany, always blunt, scoffed that Liz would be lucky if Lucky even remembered where he lived, let alone an engagement anniversary. Her words stung, and Liz went home feeling disheartened, only to be met with a surprise. Lucky had remembered, arriving with chocolates and flowers. Though it wasn't technically their wedding anniversary, Liz was touched. He acknowledged the date at all. The next day, Liz found Lucky at the hospital and asked why he wasn't ready for his award ceremony. He admitted he was on edge, while Maxie lurked nearby, watching the exchange. Later, she stopped at Kelly's, where Mike was setting up for Lucky's after party. Mike encouraged her to attend since it was just a casual gathering. The suggestion planted a seed. Before the ceremony, Lucky met with Maxie, desperately seeking more pills. Maxie warned him it was too dangerous with the hospital's ongoing investigation, but Lucky was insistent, handing her money to buy them off the street. At the ceremony, Lucky entered the room nervously, asking Mac if Maxie had arrived. Mac was surprised at his daughter's potential attendance, but Lucky casually mentioned she had considered stopping by. Mayor Floyd presented him with a Medal of Honor, along with a promotion to detective. Commissioner Scorpio praised him, expressing gratitude for his service. Lucky made a heartfelt speech, thanking his family and friends before embracing Liz, just as Maxie slipped into the room, unnoticed by most, but clearly fixated on Lucky. Meanwhile, the celebration at Kelly's was in full swing with friends and family waiting for Lucky's arrival. Liz assured everyone that although he disliked crowds, he would show up soon, but Lucky had been pulled elsewhere. At the docks, he found Maxie impatiently waiting. She had done what he asked, but was furious at being treated like nothing more than a supplier. Did you even notice me at the ceremony, or were you too busy thanking your perfect wife, she demanded. When Lucky brushed off her anger, Maxie snapped, accusing Liz of failing to see how much pain he was still in. In a moment of rage, she tossed the pills into the water. Lucky lost control. He grabbed Maxie, yelling at her while she begged him to stop. The anger in his eyes faded as he realized what he was doing. His grip softened and he apologized. The tension between them remained thick, but this time it didn't end in an argument. Instead, Lucky pulled her into a kiss when neither of them seemed willing to stop. At General Hospital, Emily escorted Sonny to his therapy session, but had to leave to attend Lucky's award ceremony. Before she left, Sonny kissed her, then sat waiting in the area, lost in thought. At the hospital, Jason had arrived for an appointment with Patrick, and Liz took the opportunity to press him about Manny's death. Maxie, always lurking, eavesdropped as Jason admitted that while he fought with Manny, he hadn't actually seen Lucky fire the fatal shot. He also told Liz that once Sonny was settled, he planned to reevaluate his relationship with Sam. As Jason left, Maxie smirked, noting the conflict of interest and Mrs. Detective Spencer being so close with poor Charles's most infamous enforcer.
That wasn't really like a shocking revelation, though, Maxie. Like, we've seen them being friends for quite some time.
Right.
Meanwhile, Lucky was reeling from his mistake. Kissing Maxie had been wrong. He knew it, but his self-loathing only fueled his downward spiral. When he arrived at Kelly's, Lulu wasted no time calling him out for missing his own party, teasing that he was turning into Luke. That stung. Lucky admitted that growing up with an absent father made him value family time even more, and he vowed to make things right. Later, Liz found him at the docks demanding answers about his behavior. As Maxie secretly listened, did she just stalk him at all times? What the heck?
Sounds like it. Well, I think that she was at the hospital. Was she trying to go to get those pills that she had thrown? Was she trying to go to replace
Go
the
get
pills
more?
that she
I
had
don't
thrown
know.
into the...
I don't know how she'd have money for him if he didn't give her more.
Because that timing was a little bit off, but I feel like it was one of those, you have to finish this paragraph to get to this one, but then maybe it should have been before. I don't know.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Lucky nearly confessed to his addiction, but Liz misunderstood, assuming he wanted to talk about Manny's shooting. Seizing the out, Lucky played along, claiming he didn't deserve his promotion since the shooting had been an accident. As they talked, Lucky learned he was being assigned as the lead detective on the, I don't know this one, Escobar murder. Yeah, I just mean, I don't know. That doesn't, do you remember that Escobar murder case? Okay.
No.
To gather proof that Jason was responsible. Later, when he met up with Maxie, she handed him a fresh supply of pills. He hesitated, insisting he wanted to quit. Maxie, unconvinced, left the pills with him, knowing he wouldn't be able to resist for long. That night at the pier, Jason was on the phone, tying up loose ends with the Escobar takeover when Lucky appeared. With barely concealed hostility, Lucky announced that he was leading the investigation. You saved Liz from Manny, he admitted, but I saved you from him, so now we're even. His message was clear, no more favors. Lucky walked away, determined to prove Jason's guilt. Jason, however, knew he wasn't alone. You can come out now, he said. Liz stepped forward, having overheard everything. She offered to tell Lucky the truth, that Jason, not Lucky, had been responsible for Manny's death, but Jason stopped her. Lucky's belief... Didn't they just have a conversation? Was that what that was on the pier of her saying?
No.
No, they weren't talking about. Okay, I assumed that whenever it said he took the out, that then part of that conversation was him being like, "Oh yeah, I knew that I didn't actually shoot him." But okay.
No, she thought that he wanted to talk about that because he knew, but he didn't.
Okay, and then they got into the fact that he was assigned to the Escobar murders. Okay, I assumed that they like actually got to that part of the conversation. Anyway, um, she offered to tell Lucky the truth that Jason, not Lucky, had been responsible for Manny's death, but Jason stopped her. Lucky's belief in his own heroism had restored his confidence, earned him his promotion that he needed. Liz wasn't convinced. What if Lucky actually found evidence against Jason? But Jason simply told her not to worry. Back at Kelly's, Lucky found Liz waiting. He apologized for missing his party, and she reassured him, telling him how proud she was of him. Lucky promised to be there for her and for Cameron, that he wanted to be a good father. But when Liz turned away, he reached into his pocket, pulled out the pills Maxie had given him, and downed a few before heading out. The next day, Maxie found Lucky at the hospital. Liz is looking for you, she informed him, but Lucky was done with Liz. At least that's what he told himself. Maxie, sensing an opportunity, asked how she could help. Lucky ranted about his wife's supposed infidelity, twisting his own guilt into anger at her.
I think we missed something somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm hoping that the next paragraph like helps clarify, because a minute ago they liked each other. Meanwhile, Liz was taking drastic measures of her own. At the nurse's station, she shredded key documents from Jason's police file just as Alexis arrived looking for both Lucky and those very files. Max soon joined them and Alexis laid it out. Without that file, they couldn't convince Jason. She ordered Max to investigate the possibility of an informant inside the PCPD. Across town at Jake's, Carly and Jason discussed Sunny's treatment. Then Liz called asking Jason to meet her at the Elm Street Pier. When they met, she revealed what she had done. She had destroyed the evidence that could have put him away. Jason was furious. Don't ever do something like that again, he warned. She had taken a huge risk and he wouldn't let her do it a second time. Later at General Hospital, Emily found Liz and brought up Lucky's growing jealousy of Patrick. Liz admitted that she hadn't been paying enough attention to her husband, but Emily urged her not to blame herself. Liz tried to stay positive. We have a really great life, she said. Lucky and I just need to reconnect. So that night, Liz tried. She put on a purple lace nightgown, lit candles, and waited. But when Lucky came home, he was grumpy and distant. She tried to talk about their problems, but he brushed her off. When she mentioned Patrick's harmless flirting, Lucky lashed out. Maybe he's right, Lucky said bitterly. Maybe you'd be better off with someone like him. Liz insisted that she loved Lucky and that he had gotten a raise, a promotion, and that there was so much going on for him. But Lucky could only see his failures. When she reached for him, he pulled away. Instead of joining her, he opted for a cold shower, leaving Liz confused and hurt. Meanwhile, Jason opened up to Sunny about his own past frustrations, the doctors who told him he had brain damage, the ones who tried to control him. Sunny, in turn, admitted his fears. The lithium helped, but what if it changed him too much? What if it took away his edge, his power, his love for the people in his life? But ultimately, he knew he had no choice. He had to set an example for Michael and Morgan. With shaky hands, he took the pills. Back at the PCPD, Lucky confronted Sam. Files go missing all the time, he told her, hinting that if Jason's file reappeared on his desk, there would be no questions asked. Sam scoffed. Jason doesn't need my help to stay out of jail, she shot back. But Lucky wasn't backing down. He was convinced Jason owed him for saving his life. Sam laughed. Is that really what you believe? But Lucky believed what he wanted to believe, and as his world continued to crumble, the lines between reality and his own paranoia blurred more and more.
Lucky walked into his home with a storm cloud over his head. His anger simmered beneath the surface as Liz immediately sensed something was wrong. She asked what had happened, and Lucky, barely able to contain his frustration, admitted the truth. He hadn't killed Manny Ruiz. His bullet never hit him. Jason had delivered the fatal shot. Well, he wasn't shot, but whatever. Even a punch. But the realization crushed him. Everything he had believed about that moment, everything he had been praised for, was a lie. Liz tried to reassure him, telling him no matter what, he was still her hero. She wrapped her arms around him, offering the comfort he so desperately needed. But as she held him, her fingers brushed against something in his back pocket. Reaching in, she pulled out a small vial of pills. Her heart sank. Are you still on these? She asked, disbelief and concern mixing in her voice. Lucky's demeanor shifted instantly. He snatched the vial from her hands, his eyes flashing with paranoia. Stop interrogating me, he snapped. I'm the cop here. Liz refused to back down, but before she could say another word, Lucky stormed out, leaving her standing there shaken and alone. Desperate for guidance, Liz turned to Patrick Drake. She confided in him, revealing her fears that Lucky's addiction had spiraled further and that he might be stealing drugs from the hospital. Patrick confirmed her worst fears, explaining that Lucky showed all the classic signs of dependency. He urged her to seek support for herself as well, warning that this wasn't something she could fix on her own. Meanwhile, Lucky's paranoia and anger led him to confront Emily on the docks. Accusing her of spying on him for Liz, he lashed out, his words biting and filled with resentment. Emily, taken aback, insisted that she had no idea what he was talking about and reminded him that Liz's actions came from a place of love. But Lucky wasn't listening. He left the conversation unresolved and headed to the hospital, only to find Liz in Patrick's arms. The sight sent fresh wave of jealousy surging through him, and instead of confronting her, he turned to the one person who would give him what he wanted, Maxie. Maxie met Lucky in his squad car, eagerly offering him more pills. He confided in her about his fight with Liz, and Maxie wasted no time in comforting him. As they kissed, she accidentally knocked the gear shift, sending the car lurching forward straight into Edward Quartermain's Bentley. The accident forced Lucky to think quickly, coming up with a story about simply giving Maxie a ride home. Edward surprisingly wasn't upset. Instead, he thanked Lucky, believing him to be the man who finally brought justice for his grandson, Justice, by taking down Manny. Lucky accepted the praise, but Edward's gratitude only made him feel worse. Later, Liz visited Nicholas at Windermere, finally admitting her growing fears about Lucky's addiction. Nicholas, filled with regret, apologized for not seeing the signs earlier. As they embraced, Colleen, the ever-watchful nanny, lurked nearby, eavesdropping on their conversation. Back at Kelly's, Lucky met with Nicholas, but their conversation quickly escalated. When Nicholas voiced his concerns about his erratic behavior, Lucky exploded in anger. Kind of proving the point.
Mm-hmm.
His paranoia had taken over, and without thinking, he lashed out physically, punching his brother. Carly, witnessing the altercation, intervened with a furious shout. Lucky, what the heck are you doing? Realizing how out of control he had become, Lucky bolted, leaving Nicholas and Carly stunned in his wake. Returning home that night, Lucky faced Liz once again. He offered an apology, but continued to deny his addiction, insisting that he was just a cop with a bad back. Liz pointed out that his fight with Nicholas was proof that something was wrong, but Lucky refused to acknowledge it. Desperate to hold on to the life they had built, Liz didn't push further. Instead, she hugged him, though doubt lingered in her heart. Meanwhile, Georgie pieced together the truth after hearing Maxie defend Lucky. Confronting her sister, she demanded to know the identity of the married man Maxie had been sneaking around with. When Maxie didn't deny it, Georgie was furious. It's him, isn't it? Lucky. And you don't even care. But Maxie wasn't giving him up. On the docks, Maxie met Lucky again, handing him another vial of pills. She admitted that she understood he was married, but hiding her feelings from him was becoming harder. Lucky took the pills without hesitation. Maxie smiled, pressing the bottle into his hands. Call me when you can. At the same time, Liz went to Jason's penthouse with news that could change everything. Lucky knows, Jason. He knows you killed Manny. Before Jason could respond, the front door swung open, and Lucky had arrived. Liz hid as Lucky confronted Jason, his accusations laced with suspicion. He demanded to know why Alexis was covering for him and accused Sam of stealing the police file. His anger rising, he threatened to take the matter to Internal Affairs. Jason remained cold and unwavering. Get out. Lucky hesitated for a moment before finally leaving. Liz stepped out from her hiding place, visibly shaken. I don't know what to do anymore. Jason, seeing her in distress, advised her to focus on taking care of herself. You can't save Lucky if he doesn't want to be saved. Their conversation was cut short when Bernie arrived with news. South African factions were restless, considering a deal with Alcazar. As Jason prepared to handle the situation, Robin unexpectedly showed up, much to Bernie's frustration. That night, Liz arrived home to a romantic surprise, candlelight, wine, and Lucky waiting with open arms. He smiled, trying to ease the tension between them. No more fighting, let's just have a night for us. Liz hesitated. She wanted to bring up the pills, to confront him again, but instead she let herself be swept away. They kissed, and as Lucky pulled her close, she gave in. Later, as she lay in his arms, she whispered her lingering fears. I'm worried about you. But Lucky was already asleep. The next morning, Lucky arrived at the hospital ready to arrest Jason. Jason Morgan, you're under arrest, he announced, his badge gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Before Jason could react, Carly stormed in, demanding to speak with Lucky. Jason simply turned to her and said, Get my lawyer.
Meanwhile, Sam found herself in the line of fire as Alexis, having witnessed her conversation with Jason, refused to let her off the hook. Later at Kelly's, Lulu gathered her belongings, preparing to leave. As she turned to walk away, Lucky smirked, his voice dripping with mockery. "Hey, sis, you forgot your condoms." Lulu froze, mortified, as the bag slipped from her hands, and with that, Lucky Spencer proved just how far he had fallen. The tension between Lucky and Liz had been building for weeks, and it finally reached a boiling point at the pier. As Lulu left clutching a box in her hands, she accidentally dropped it in front of her family. Liz, suspicious, immediately demanded to know what was inside. "What are you hiding, Lulu? Who are you sleeping with?" Lulu, flustered, fled without answering. Lucky scoffed at Liz's interrogation, dismissing it with a wave. "Just stay out of it," he muttered, his frustration clear. But Liz wasn't willing to back down. "I'm taking Cam to Grandma's," she snapped, "but we'll talk later on the docks." I'm not sure why Liz is upset not that Lulu should be sleeping around because she was younger and like Liz is protective, but I don't understand why she's so like angry about it.
Yeah, there was something there.
Yeah, like she wasn't suspecting Maxie and Lucky yet, right? And Lulu wouldn't be getting condoms for Maxie to sleep with her brother.
If she didn't know that she was sleeping with her brother, she might.
I don't know. I don't remember all that.
I
Okay.
can't remember. Yeah.
Man. Anyway, as Liz stormed off, Lucky, already spiraling in his own frustration, called Maxie, who told her to buy more pills, intending to give Liz his stash later. When Liz returned, ready for their long overdue argument, Lucky's tone shifted. He admitted he blamed himself for Jesse's death, but justified his pill use by claiming they were for back pain. "I'm not the bad guy," he insisted, offering Liz the bottle. She hesitated, but eventually took them. Back at home, Lulu was alone, opening a birthday card from Grandma Leslie, but there was something else in her hands, a home pregnancy test. Oh, okay. That makes sense
Oh,
then. I thought that
so they
those.
didn't actually fall out. It was,
Okay.
she probably said that's what they were. Okay.
All right. That makes sense. Alrighty.
Mm-hmm.
Before she could get the results, Tracy barged in, demanding to know why Lulu wasn't at work. She offered to take Lulu to Kelly's, unknowingly interrupting what could have been a life-altering moment. At Kelly's, the scene was unexpectedly full of surprise. Liz, Lucky, Bobby, and Tracy gathered to celebrate Lulu's 18th birthday. Lulu was shocked that everyone had remembered. Nicholas arrived with the baby, revealing that the child's name had been changed to Spencer to honor his siblings. As the celebration continued, Dylan entered and Lulu asked him to keep their private matters between them. He agreed and they settled in to enjoy the party. Maxie arrived, but when she greeted Lucky, his response was cold, and he quickly moved to another part of the restaurant. Patrick entered next, but upon realizing it was a party, he started to leave. Liz stopped him, urging him to stay. She noticed that Patrick had been distancing himself and gently told him she wouldn't let him pull away from his friends. Meanwhile, Lucky, watching the exchange from across the room, approached Maxie and apologized for his earlier behavior. Maxie understood, knowing that he wanted to keep up the facade of his relationship with Liz. "It's a shame, though," she remarked, "that you're so concerned about Liz being suspicious of me, but that she's all over Patrick." As the night went on, more familiar faces arrived at Kelly's. Carly showed up to wish Lulu a happy birthday, and soon after, Georgie entered as well. Dylan asked Georgie not to reveal anything about what had happened between him and Lulu, and she agreed. But when Georgie overheard Maxie and Lucky's conversation, she couldn't hold back. "It's obvious what's going on between you two," she said sharply to Maxie. "And if you're not careful, Liz will notice." Maxie, unfazed, shot back, "Don't worry about me. Liz is way more interested in Patrick." Outside, as Liz and Carly cleaned up, Lucky met Maxie once more, and she handed him another vial of pills. Lucky apologized for his earlier abruptness, but Maxie kissed him passionately. He pulled away quickly, muttering that they couldn't continue this in the open. Just then, Carly came out, catching them in the act. She watched in disbelief as Maxie led Lucky into the back room of Kelly's. Carly's discomfort grew as she witnessed the beginning of their illicit affair unfold. Later, Carly found herself in a difficult position as Liz asked where Lucky had gone. "He hasn't answered his phone," Liz remarked, growing more concerned. Carly hesitated, visibly uncomfortable, before she finally confessed. "I saw Lucky with Maxie upstairs. They were together." Liz was in denial. No, that's impossible. But Carly's words had planted a seed of doubt. Despite Carly's plea not to go upstairs, Liz couldn't help herself. You don't understand, Carly warned. Seeing it with your own eyes will haunt you. Liz, determined to confront the truth, walked up the stairs. When she reached the door to the back room, she opened it, and in the sight of Lucky and Maxie in bed together, shattered her world. Back at the apartment, Liz was cleaning up, her emotions a whirlwind of anger and heartbreak. As she threw a pillow across the room, Lucky entered, apologizing for being out on a stakeout all night. It was too late to call, he explained, but Liz wasn't buying it. You weren't on a stakeout, Lucky. You were in bed with Maxie.
Didn't even notice that wow.
Right, like, wow, they were really in the middle of it. If you didn't even hear somebody open the door. Meanwhile, at General Hospital, Georgie cornered Maxie, visibly upset. I had to lie to Mac about where you were last night, she said, her voice full of concern. Mac and I are both worried about you. Maxie, defensive, dismissed her sister's worry. There's nothing to worry about. I'm safe with Lucky. But Georgie wasn't convinced. It's not safe, Maxie. He's married. Maxie's defiance was clear. I won't give him up, she said firmly.
The unraveling of Lucky and Liz's marriage had reached its boiling point, and it all exploded when Lucky had returned home. Liz, devastated and angry, immediately confronted him. Where did you get the idea that I was sleeping with Maxie? He demanded, his voice shaking with fury. Lucky tried to brush it off, scoffing. When did you start believing anything Carly says? But Liz wasn't backing down. She told him that Carly had seen them together and she had witnessed the scene with her own eyes. Lucky reached for a beer, trying to hide his guilt, but Liz's anger flared. How could you do this to me, Lucky? She asked, her voice trembling. Lucky's response was defensive and his tone bitter. What did you expect me to do, Liz? He spat. Maxie actually wants me, unlike you. He lingerie for you.
You're right, exactly.
Dumb boy. Liz recoiled at his words, shocked and hurt. I defended you to Carly, she said quietly. I defended you to everyone, and this is what you do to me? The conversation spiraled into a mess of accusations. Lucky continued his tirade, blaming his jealousy over Patrick for his actions, but Liz cut him off, her voice sharp. Stop using your jealousy as an excuse. I don't even know you anymore. Lucky was lost in his own pain and continued to wallow in self-pity. I get it, he muttered. You're happy to finally have a reason to run to Patrick. Liz, exasperated and heartbroken, threw her wedding vows in his face. You spat on our vows, Lucky. If you want Maxie, I'm done. Her words stung, and she stormed out of their apartment, furious and betrayed. As Liz walked to the hospital, still shaken, she found Maxie at the nurse's station. Maxie immediately began to needle Liz about her closeness with Patrick, and Liz, unable to hold back her anger, slapped her across the face. You tramp! Liz yelled, furious. Maxie never wanted to back down, shot back, accusing Liz of cheating on Lucky with Patrick. Why can't you give Lucky the attention you give him? She taunted. Liz was about to start a fight when Patrick intervened, breaking them up. As the two women stood in tense silence, Liz fired off another insult. I'll tell Mac about you and Lucky, she threatened. Maxie, undeterred, shrugged. Do what you want, she said, before storming off. Patrick, clearly feeling for Liz, spoke softly. I'm sorry. I saw them kissing once, but I didn't want to hurt you by telling you. At that moment, Lucky walked in, and the sight of Patrick's hands on Liz made him angry. Without a word, he left the hospital. Patrick led Liz to the waiting room and asked what she was going to do. Liz, still shaken, tried to explain it away. It's the pain meds, she said. I'm going to fight for him. But in her heart, Liz wasn't sure if she could win this battle. Later on the pier, Maxie and Lucky had their own confrontation. Maxie offered to get him more pills, pressing him to meet her later at his apartment. Lucky was still reeling from everything, but agreed, especially after Maxie pushed his buttons about Patrick. As he left, Maxie called the hospital, leaving a cryptic message for Liz. She claimed to be a neighbor who had heard strange noises coming from Liz's apartment. Yep. And this is our current Maxie. This was Kirsten Storms, so it's like almost more difficult.
Yeah.
Back at the apartment, Lucky was shirtless, drunk, and laying on the bed when Maxie arrived. She handed him the pills and kissed him. But Lucky, still conflicted, hesitated. We shouldn't be doing this in my apartment, he muttered. Maxie, ever provocative, taunted. Maybe we should just get a hotel room like Liz and Patrick do. The door opened and Liz walked in, her face a mask of hurt and disbelief. She saw them in each other's arms, and Lucky, caught off guard, pulled away. Liz didn't say a word. Our marriage is over. That's 4 words.
Right.
she whispered, her voice breaking. Tears streamed down her face as she fled the apartment, leaving Lucky standing there, realizing too late the gravity of what he had done. He pushed Maxie out of the room, his own guilt taking over. I shouldn't be doing this, he muttered, his voice shaking. You need to leave. I'm a mess. Liz, heartbroken, ran to the docks where she encountered Lulu. Lulu immediately noticed Liz's tears and asked what was wrong. Liz, her voice thick with emotion, didn't answer. The last person I would call right now is Lucky, she said bitterly. Lulu, worried but unable to get an answer, offered her cell phone, but Liz refused. No, she said, her voice hollow. I'm done. Later, Liz found herself at Kelly's with Audrey, asking her grandmother to take care of Cameron for a few more days. Audrey, seeing the pain in her granddaughter's eyes, asked what was wrong. Liz's voice was barely a whisper as she confessed, my marriage is over. Audrey, in disbelief, asked what happened, but Liz wouldn't elaborate. I still love him, she admitted, but the pain was too great. Audrey, ever the voice of reason, advised Liz to give her marriage one last chance before considering divorce. But Liz, heartbroken and exhausted, didn't know if there was anything left to fight for. Meanwhile, Lucky was spiraling further. When Lulu found him drunk in his apartment, she tried to get him to talk. Liz was crying, she said gently. What happened? Lucky, in a haze, muttered that Liz had finally seen him for what he was, a failure, not the hero she thought he was. He seemed so lost, scared, and disconnected. I understand Luke more now than ever, he said, his voice tinged with bitterness. The Spencer family is made of bad blood. Lulu, in tears, begged him to snap out of it, but Lucky was lost in his pain and pushed her away. Just go, he said, his voice shaking. Later, Maxie returned to Lucky's apartment, pretending to check on him due to a blackout caused by a heat wave. Liz was standing outside in the hallway and watched them through the door, her heart breaking all over again. As if things couldn't get worse, Liz confronted Georgie, accusing her of hiding the truth about Lucky and Maxie's affair. Georgie, trying to justify Maxie's actions, explained that she had tried to get Maxie to end the affair, but it was too late. Liz was filled with a mix of fury and heartbreak and informed Georgie that Maxie was pleased with herself for coming between her and Lucky. Jason arrived back at Alexis's house searching for Sam, but instead found himself witnessing an emotional scene. Through the window, he saw Sam and Rick, and the sight stung. Hurt and betrayed, Jason left Lee quick and retreated to his penthouse, the silence only broken by the sound of him reaching for a bottle of liquor to drown his sorrows.
Ugh. Just ugh.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Liz, her head in turmoil after the latest events in her marriage, found herself at Jason's door seeking comfort. I don't know where else to go, she admitted quietly as she stepped inside. She noticed Jason was already drinking. Without hesitation, she opened up about her heartbreak. Lucky's having an affair, she blurted, her voice filled with pain. As if on cue, Jason responded with his own revelation. Sam's sleeping with Rick. Liz's eyes widened in shock. The two exchanged stories of betrayal and pain, their shared struggle pulling them closer. Their conversation soon turned to the past, and Liz confessed something she hadn't said in years. I was really in love with you, Jason, back then. They both felt the weight of unspoken emotions, the history between them palpitating in the air. Neither of them expected it, but before long they found themselves in a heated kiss. Liz pulled off her shirt and Jason did the same, the two of them falling onto the couch in a tangled, passionate embrace. Afterwards, they sat together, both stunned by what had just happened. Jason handed Liz a bottle of water and they shared an understanding look. It's surprising, Liz murmured, but I don't regret it. Jason nodded. Me neither. They both agreed that this would be the only night they spent together. As they cuddled, Liz let out a soft laugh. I wish Cameron could know you better, she said, but your life is too dangerous for him. Jason's expression softened. You rescued me. She smiled, her voice quiet with affection. She stood to leave, but Jason stopped her. Only if you want to, he said gently, not wanting to pressure her. Why is she trying to build a relationship between him and Cameron? Cameron's not his.
Right.
And that's like, yeah, Jason's dangerous. Stop. And it's like ironic that she would say that and then I guess foreshadowing, but no.
Yeah.
As the night unfolded, a musical montage played over a series of scenes. Alexis cleaning up pillows at her house, Lucky drinking himself into oblivion, and Jason and Liz sharing one last kiss on the sofa.
And those pillows are what Sam and Rick were on.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
The sound of a knock on the door interrupted them, and Jason pulled away from Liz just as he heard Sam's voice on the other side of the door. Surprised you don't have a guard at the door, Liz remarked, noticing Jason's calm demeanor. Jason shrugged. Not necessary. Liz reflected on the distance between them throughout the years. We could never seem to get it right, she mused, but it was never our fault. She turned to him, her voice softer. I've relied on you more than I can care to admit, and I appreciate you always being there for me. Jason, his voice quiet, told her, You've offered something to my life that I never thought I'd have. You never let your past define your future. His eyes softened. I want to send you and Cameron to Italy. You deserve a break from everything. I wish someone would just be like, you know what? You've had a really hard couple months. Here's a trip to Italy. Okay, thanks.
I take it.
Liz, grateful for the offer, hesitated. I can't run away from this, Jason. I need to face it. Then she turned the question back to him. What about you? What do you see for your future? Jason's response was heavy with truth. While I'm running the business, I don't see myself with a family. There was a long silence between them before Jason finally added, But if you need me, I'll be here. Later that night, Liz woke up beside Jason in his bed, still reeling from the events of the day. She told him, I think my marriage is over. I can't let Cameron grow up in that environment anymore. I can't let him live with Lucky like this. Jason, ever the supportive friend, reassured her, I'm here for you, Liz, whatever you need. Meanwhile, at the apartment, Lucky was still spiraling. He was drinking and popping pills, trapped in the chaos of his own mind. Liz, unable to shake the image of Lucky and Maxie, returned home only to find him absent and his gun missing from the holster. Fear settled in her chest. What was he planning? Jason, dealing with his own emotional turmoil, was surprised when Sam showed up at the penthouse, telling him she was leaving town. Goodbye, she said softly, and Jason, ever perceptive, surprised her by admitting that he already knew about her affair with Rick. Sam's face fell, a mix of guilt and sadness in her eyes. At Alexis's office, Sonny arrived, catching her off guard. He thanked her for helping Christina the night before, but there was something more to the visit. I had a talk with Sam, he said, his voice somber. She's leaving town. Just then, Rick entered, overhearing the conversation. So are you going to tell Alexis about Sam and my night together? He asked poignantly. The tension in the room thickened. Back at home, Liz watched Lucky speak at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, something she never thought she'd see. Later, she was packing her bags when Lucky arrived home. He found her waiting for him, and the weight of her presence hit him hard. I'm willing to fight for our marriage, Liz said, her voice trembling with resolve, but you have to stay away from the drugs and Maxie. She made it clear that if he slipped again, she would take Cameron and leave. In a final attempt to clean up his mess, Lucky met Maxie. I'm in love with Liz, he admitted, his voice tinged with regret. I can't keep seeing you. I'm going to get help. As a symbol of his commitment, he tossed the pills she handed him into the water, watching them sink. Liz, after hearing Lucky's decision, went to Jason to tell him that she had changed her mind. She was staying with Lucky for now, but she asked Jason to keep their night together a secret. Jason, with a bittersweet smile, responded, It's too late for that. Dun, dun, dun.
And this is where the fandoms fight. Oh, this is just, it's back when it was so good. Like, but, I mean, crazy, because I'm sure that we were probably complaining about this at the time, but looking back now, it's that one night created all these different things.
Yep.
Crazy, crazy.
It was.
But now we don't have to worry about that anymore because Lucky and Liz are working past that. And
oh my gosh. The amount of times just like last week that he was talking about how much he cared for her and everything. I was like, yay, I'm so excited.
Yes, we're definitely getting a redo, but I feel like they're acknowledging their stuff. But they do need to bring up some of this stuff,
Yeah.
so that people don't think that they're just glossing over. But like they should celebrate that they've been able to do all this and work through it. And yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens on Monday as we recap this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, Just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return.
But I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.